totally forgot about this fucking video.
Illegal immigration costs the U.S. taxpayers over.
Alright, we're gonna watch this stupid fucking retard video. Whew.
For $115 billion per year. What price can you put
Let
on
them
helping
in.
your fellow man and alleviating human suffering? I don't know the exact number. Let's say the cap starts somewhere around the 100 billion mark. Question of the day. Is it just me, or does it seem that since the left can't make the Russian collusion conspiracy stick, they've gone right back to calling everybody racist? That seems as though they I don't know if it's just me. Let me give you some context here. Remember the old clip of Trump talking about MS-13? He called the gang members of a gang animals, and then the leftist.
Oh, no, but yeah, except for the fact that he basically said that the entire caravan was
took a
made up
snippet out of
those
context. They
people.
claimed that he said all immigrants were animals. That clip just went viral again this week for people who missed it. They're recycling the same old narratives, lies, completely ignoring the crisis at the border. Up to 100,000 illegal crossings this month. So, what reasons would justify building a wall? Let me rattle 5 off the top of my head. Reason 1, okay? And you can share this with all your friends or people who say, well, give me one reason. 5 here with multiple sources.
We'll make it easy.
Yes.
Crime. Crime. Did I already say crime is reason 1? I don't know. I got lost in my own
You said
train of thought.
MS-13, so it's kind of like
So the left, they often claim that illegal immigrants, you hear this all the time. How often have you heard this claim, guys, that the undocumented immigrant, they actually commit crimes at a lower rate than native born?
Well, that's true. It's true, actually. That's a true thing. The only reason they're inflated a little bit is because it's actually catching up with the standards of the United States people, and most people coming across the border are younger, and those numbers match up with. So basically, the entirety of the United States would be grafted from people who are 90 years old, so those people will be doing no crime, and babies won't be doing any crime either. Of people who are coming in from Mexico would be in an age range between, let's say, maybe very young to 20, 30, 40 years old. That's like the typical age range for people jumping across the border, right? It's like a person with a family full of fucking people. That's your typical age range for people jumping over the border. Those numbers are actually pretty much in line, if not lower, than the equal population of the United States. So if you just polled like 40-year-olds and like stuff like that, like if you polled for each age or you did research on each age, you would find out that the crime rates are actually very much identical, if not immigrants do less.
Citizens, well, let them say it.
But in our sanctuary cities, our people are not disobeying the law. These are law-abiding citizens.
Everyday immigrants commit crimes at a far lower rate than native-born Americans.
Wow.
Seems like she went in and said, give me the 60s era Diane Keaton in burgundy, please.
Oh my God.
It's the kind of request that only the insane lament. Notice the language here.
So is he going to source any of the crime stuff?
Immigrants, they pivot to immigrants as a whole. That's like lumping legal gun owners in with illegal gun owners.
No, yeah, we do that because if you own a gun legally, it can be stolen from you. Right? If nobody owned guns, you couldn't steal guns to use them violently. So yeah, you might be a good gun owner, but if somebody walks into your office right now and takes that Walther and takes the mag and puts it in and fucking racks the bullet, racks the chamber, racks the slide, you can start firing up, you know?
Of course, legal immigrants are going to be less likely to break the law because by definition, they're law-abiding. They're very first...
Yeah, and the illegal immigrants are only doing it because of how impossible it is to get into the United States. So, why don't we reform immigration? Because it's currently extremely fucking hard to get into the United States.
First action, when they were presented with the option to immigrate illegally, they decided to do it legally.
And why did they do that? Why would they do it illegally? Well, maybe because it's so much harder to get in here legally that it's not a viable option. It costs too much money, whatever. It's easier to just jump the border.
Illegal immigrants show they're 3 times. This is when you separate for illegal immigrants 3 times as likely to commit crimes as other citizens. They make up 27% of all federal prisons. 3 times as likely to commit crimes as other citizens. They make up 27% of all federal.
So is it the Heritage Foundation? Is that not a right-wing fucking news? Is that? Yep, American Conservative Think Tank. So this could be taken with a grain of salt because most of these fucking think tanks suck at doing research. But he's not showing me much of anything except for this one quote. The first report, GO03R, found that criminal aliens, both legal and illegal, make up 27% of all federal prisons. Yet according to the... Well, they would be thrown in prison for being... Okay. Yet according to the Center for Immigration Studies, non-citizens are only about 9% of the nation's adult population. Federal prisons alone, non-citizens commit crime rates 3 times at the rate of citizens. That doesn't really give you that, but we're gonna look at that. Dash 05 dash 337R. The United States incarcerate criminal aliens, non-citizens committed a crime within the country legally or illegally in federal and state prisons and local jails. The federal government borrows much of the cost. It pays the... Oh, so it's literally talking about when they incarcerate the illegal aliens because they're here illegally. So the only reason they're in jail is because they're here illegally, probably. They're not actually doing any crimes. They're just in the prisons because, well, they crossed the border illegally. Okay. It's like the first sentence in the fucking thing. When the United States incarcerates criminal aliens, non-citizens convicted of crimes while in this country legally or illegally in the federal and state prisons and local jails, the federal government, convicted of crimes, but what are the crimes? Hold on, let's see. The federal government borrows much of the cost. It pays incarcerated criminal aliens in federal prisons for reimburse states and local governments for a portion of their cost of incarcerating some, but not all. Criminal aliens illegally in the country through the Department of Justice State Criminal Assistance Program, blah, 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 managed to Bureau Office, blah, blah, blah. A portion of the cost of incarcerated criminal aliens, and Congress requested that we provide information concerning criminal aliens and incarceration of federal prison at all federal, state, and local level for the criminal aliens incarcerated in federal prisons for the criminal. At the federal level, the number of criminal aliens incarcerated from... Okay, so I don't think it actually gives me what they're arrested for. It just says that they have been incarcerated, so... So it's kind of misleading because what are they in prison for? Because they could just be thrown in prison for being illegal.
Prisons, despite being only 9% of the nation's adult population.
Jesus.
I know it's surprising. That's not to mention, by the way, that every single crime committed by an illegal alien, it's one that could never have been committed.
Yeah.
Had they not been here illegally in the first place. So yes, it's important to remember not all immigrants are criminals, but all illegal aliens, at least in getting here, kind of pulled a dick move. All of them.
Yeah. So then here's the problem. So, he's going with, well, some of them, you know, you're right. Some illegal aliens are pretty good people, but coming here, you're a criminal. So, just by jumping over the border, fuck any reasons why you would do it. You did it. It's illegal. Yeah, you know, you're a fucking criminal. Fuck you. Get out of my country. Right? That's the gist of it right now. Because, again, he's not mentioning how hard it is to get to the United States. It's extremely hard, so why go through it when you're in danger and your life's in danger and you want to help your kids? You know, it takes like 2+ years, maybe even more. How long does it take to get in the United States? And what's funny is whenever he talks about this stuff, I remember there's one video where he was talking about the border wall at a college campus, and he said that he's an immigrant. He's not an immigrant. He's a U.S.-born citizen, so he had no problems coming over from Canada. He grew up in Canada, but he was born in Detroit, so he didn't have to go through any immigration papers like anyone else did. Okay, so the application process itself takes 6 months, and then it could take up to years to become an actual legal resident in the country. Oh. You have to be in the country first, and then you apply. Then it takes potentially years to get, yeah. So if you can't even get in the country, how do you, yeah, okay. All right.
single one of them. I'm okay saying that. Okay, reason number 2. How effective...
Oh, he didn't actually go over... Oh, no, he did a little bit. He tried, but it just didn't really give what kind of crimes they were doing, because you have already classified them as criminals for just jumping the border. So obviously they're going to be doing crime at a higher rate, since most of them are illegally here. And why are they illegally here? Probably because it's too hard to get in the United States otherwise.
Effective a wall would be. The left tells us it doesn't work.
It wouldn't work.
Would a wall really stop them?
No.
What the Border Patrol says, and I've spoken to a lot of their people, is look.
Well, there has to be slats. So there's a point of entry with the slats. There will still be the same exact amount of security along the border wall, if there was a wall or not a wall. It's not like you're gonna put this wall up and then you don't have to have any security cameras there. You don't have to have anybody standing there because it's impenetrable. No, you're still gonna have people doing their normal security checks. It would just be harder for somebody to potentially get through it, maybe. But most people don't just walk straight through the wall anyways.
Look, first of all, if you build a 30-foot wall.
Also, how do you fucking get it down on the ground? You have to get a bunch of states and a bunch of properties to give up large portions of their land so that that wall can go down.
All it's going to do is create a market for 31-foot ladders.
Of course.
And ladders.
Of course, that's right.
Of course.
Even though, like, yeah.
So this is where they do the whole, walls don't work argument, and then they go on to argue for Border Patrol. Here's an idea. How about both? Okay? No.
Because it's really fucking expensive. So, how are you going to pay for this, Steven? How are you going to pay for this? Because, we can't pay for healthcare, we can't pay for free college, but we can pay for this fucking wall and the massive amounts of Border Patrol
I get it. Listen,
on a country instead of trying to rehabilitate them and help them out,
When I talk about the wall, I am talking about
fucking stupid.
borders.
How about instead of paying for the wall, instead of paying for the wall and paying for border security, you use that money and help the Mexican government build up a actual democratic system without cartels corrupting everything.
Security as a whole. The wall is really more of just a symbol. It's a pretty kick-ass symbol, though. It's one that I like,
absolutely.
especially because...
Why do you like it? Because to most people, it's a symbol of stopping the right to movement and the right to immigrate to the country. It stops the right to sovereignty or to safety, I guess, basically. Like it's like a symbol that you can't be really taken as a refugee because they don't want you here because it's a big fucking fat wall. You're alienated, you're cut off, there's a bunch of symbols. Like if you put a wall between a country, it means you don't want to fuck with that country. So now the Mexican government won't be able to, doesn't feel as attached to the United States because there's a massive border wall between them. Yeah.
Because it ruffles all the right feathers. Here's the thing, though, walls do
Because it ruffles the right feathers. Okay, so it ruffles...
work.
Yeah.
Israel, for example, cut its illegal immigration rate by 9.
Okay, well, Israel's a totally different story because they just murder everybody on the who tries to get into their country from Palestine, and they are a much smaller country than this. It's much easier to build. Their wall is infinitesimally, extraordinarily cheaper than a wall built by the United States or for the United States across the Mexican border. Yeah. Okay.
99%.
Also, fuck the wall in Israel. The number of illegal crosses the Israel border dropped after constructions of the fence. The fence, not the wall. For more than... Okay, construction of the fence. It's funny that his thing says this. I know they have an actual wall, so I'm just looking at it. Yeah, okay, they have a legitimate wall. So what the fuck are they calling a fence? It's a pretty big fence. That looks like the United States border. Just a bit more, just a bit more guarded maybe. But regardless, fuck the Israeli wall. Easy? Okay. Wow.
Constructing 143
That
mile
seems
fence.
significant, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's stupid. Why would you want to do that? Palestinians have a right to land. You agreed on this before, and now Israel just controls it all because they've built up walls and
Now,
shit.
granted, some terrorist tunnels, still a problem.
Right.
When Mexico has the destruction of all United States citizens in its charter, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But
Well, yeah. How about you just help them out, and then why do you not need a border wall on Canada, but you need one on Mexico? Well, it's because Canada has a strong economy. So why don't you help the Mexican, Mexico build a strong economy?
99%, it's what we call statistically significant. So, and I know I've heard these people arguing all the time that it's not 100% effective. It's only, okay, neither. Condoms don't work 100%, but you have us handing those out by the punch bowl at the local junior high and the taxpayer dying.
Well, look, if anything, at least
Stop, you're cutting off the black people. They were about to say something.
That's privilege.
Black privilege, please.
Come on.
Yeah, what's 100% effective? You got murder laws up. What? Viagra's 100% effective.
Only for white people.
Turns me into a savage animal. Like, murder is illegal, but it still happens.
Murder laws not necessarily 100% effective, especially in your community. By the way, hit the notification bell.
That's a low blow right
Join
now.
up at Mug Club. I figured you could take it with the Viagra armor going on. Mug Club, laddercutter.com/Mug Club. Subscribe on iTunes if you haven't subscribed already. Apparently, subscriptions don't mean anything. And people aren't getting notifications. Let us know. Reason number 3, cost. Democrats have also been claiming that the wall would be too expensive.
The president cannot hold public employees hostage because he wants to have a wall that is not effective in terms of its.
I like when they keep on putting Nancy Pelosi up as if she's ever said any fucking like useful. Most, like the progressives, I'm pretty sure, most progressives, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure most, if not all progressives, have said that the wall is ineffective, not too expensive. It would just be ineffective to build a $5 billion wall. That money could be better used elsewhere.
Purpose, not cost effective in terms of what
But she's saying cost
opportunity cost it is of federal dollars to spend.
Did you just get beat up
So you never said it was too expensive.
in
Okay.
Harry Reid's shower?
Fuck. Whoops, no one said it was too expensive. She said it wasn't cost effective, which is true.
Does TheraBand have another lawsuit coming? All right, listen. If we want to run the numbers, let's use a comparison. Israel spent $2.9 million.
Stop. Why are you comparing? Both walls are stupid. No one's defending. Like, why are you using the Israeli wall as a comparison when progressives don't want that either? Fuck that wall.
$1 million, I think. Yeah, $2.9 million a mile on their fence. Okay? So if we were to build a
It's not. We're not saying it's too expensive. It's not cost effective. How about you just use that money to help the Mexican government build up a strong economy with democratic values?
similar border wall fence from scratch, again, not necessarily a wall, run us around $5.6 billion, but let's use the most liberal estimates, total costs as high as $21 billion. It sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Until you factor in studies that show illegal immigration costs the U.S. taxpayers over $115 billion.
You know how you could easily fix that? Reform your immigration policy. What's cheaper, building a wall or reforming your immigration policy? In reforming your immigration policy, what's less more effective, I guess, or less? I don't know how, because I don't know if it would be less expensive. Helping the Mexican government, or just building a wall and kind of ignoring their problems.
Per year. And I can already hear the rebuttals here. I can hear the arguments. What price can you put on helping your fellow man and alleviating human suffering? I don't know the exact number. Let's say the cap starts somewhere around the 100 billion mark.
We've thrown nothing but manpower.
Then why aren't you for health care? Whatever.
And money at the border, and it has gotten worse. It is the exact opposite thing of what we should be doing. So anybody who comes out and says a wall won't work is doing it purely for political gain, as if you didn't know that already. But they're also putting lives in danger. Go ask the people that live on border towns. My sister's husband's family lives on a your town in Zapata. It's
Your
not
sister's best friend's girlfriend's brother's boyfriend knows this guy who knows someone who saw Beto O'Rourke pass out of 31 Flame.
Well, this is an anecdote, so it doesn't matter. But again, if you just help the Mexican government reform and become a better democratic nation, this shit goes away. It's not like well, see, it's like, this is where it gets sticky, right? Because it's like, why do you think Mexico is shitty? Is it because they just need like some help? They have a shitty economy and we could help like them get it up? Because it's not like people who live on the border of Canada are afraid of Canadians, you know, because we it seems like the difference is that we have a strong economy. Mexico has a weak economy. Why don't you help build that economy up? And like they'll say no, maybe. If they say yes, then then there's no need to build the border wall. So then that's screwed. So they have to, if they want to build the border wall, it seems like they have to resort to, well, they're Mexicans. It's like, oh, so this becomes a race, and it's like, okay. Keep all
last night, and then he was raped by MS-13.
Not a good deal.
Reason number 4.
So an anecdote. So reason number 3 is an anecdote. So it doesn't matter.
Likes it. Compassion. This is what happens all the time from the left. This is not unique here, but they appeal to our sense of compassion by talking about kids being held in cages. Will someone please think of the children?
Kennels.
I mean, it's true. Kids were being held in children separated from their parents. That's like really, 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 really bad. Reform your immigration laws.
Cages, dog kennels for human beings.
This is where they put them in. It's like 50, 60 degrees, so you're freezing. So how do you show that you've been tortured?
Right.
The other word is perrera.
Sensory deprivation. Not is that sensory deprivation? Well, anyways, I'll just use hypothermia. Hypothermia would be a form of torture. I was saying sensory deprivation because I was thinking of like the whole thing, like if you put somebody in a really hot room versus a really cold room, or like a wind, like like when you're just kind of getting attacked with your senses. There's no like physical damage done to you. You're just kind of annoyed for an excessive amount of time. So hypothermia is a form of torture. Yes.
In Spanish, perrera is a dog cage. Our children, effectively, as the senator said, are being put into dog cages.
Right now, what we are seeing is the violation of human rights. These children and these families are being held in what are called hieleras, which are basically freezing boxes that no person should be maintained in for any amount of time, let alone the amount of time that they are being kept on.
Is the joke that she called it something different than the other person?
Right.
The other word is perrera.
Perrera?
Families are being held in what are called hieleras, which are basically freezing boxes.
Okay, so I bet you $100 million. Both words. So one is dog cage, the other one's freezing cage, or like freezing box. One's like dog box, freezing box. Because the only difference between the two words is the start. If he complains about her saying a different word, I'm going to kill myself.
That no person should be maintained in for any amount of time, let alone the amount of time that they are being kept on.
I love how the first commentator says, the temperature is really low, so these boxes get cold, and then Cortez just says, they're putting them in freezing boxes?
That are 50 to 60 degrees.
They're holding them in Coleman coolers.
That sounds like good air conditioning.
Upgrade to Yeti at least.
I'm going to go back because I need to see what she said.
For any amount of are basically freezing boxes that no person should be maintained in for any amount of time, let alone the amount of time that they are being kept.
So basically freezing boxes, which is true, right? Like anything below room temperature will give you hypothermia eventually.
I love how the first commentator says, the temperature is really low, so these boxes get cold, and then Cortez just says, they're putting them in freezing boxes?
That are 50 to 60 degrees.
They're holding them in Coleman coolers.
50 to 60 degrees. Oh, I'm Canadian, so I need to fucking... Oh my fucking god. Degrees conversion. I think it's like 40 degrees. So if it's if it's 40 degrees, it's 4 degrees Celsius. Yeah. So any temperature that gets your body below 35 degrees Celsius will end up giving you hypothermia. And I bet you 4 degrees Celsius will do that to you. Let's go high number 50. 10 degrees Celsius. I mean, I wouldn't want to sit in that for 10 hours.
That sounds like good air conditioning.
Upgrade to Yeti at least.
Yeah, please turn on your fucking... Oh my god. Like, my house sits on 75. If it drops to like 69, I want to kill myself. My basement's like where I'm at is like the basement, so it's significantly colder than that. So it might actually be close to like 60 or 50 something degrees Celsius. I fucking hate it.
Because when you're talking
It's
about American
cold.
Border Patrol agents who spare no expense when holding illegal immigrants, they're going to crank the air conditioning up in El Paso.
And by the way, these dog cages, these kennels, they're fenced-in areas is what they're talking about. It's not like a dog cage.
Never mind the fact that Cajun Kids started under Obama. I know some
I mean, all of that is a violation of your human rights.
people have tried to issue rebuttals to that. Well, that's a whole topic for another day. But it did start under Obama. We're just talking about the frequency.
Who cares about Obama? Fuck him. It's all a violation of human rights.
The problem right now is nearly 100,000 illegal immigrants cross the border every single month. That's over 3,000
Yeah.
a day. Where do you put them?
Yeah.
You have to put them somewhere, and it's not going to be the Holiday Inn Express. So
Why can't it be? If they want to, what you do is you get them up, and you go through a very simple test, a very simple immigration test to see if they want to become a citizen or not. Then you put them in this area, and if you're so fucking butthurt about it, you put them in a nice area to live in and be exposed to the rest of the United States. You let them have a job, you let them produce in your economy, and then you continue to ask them questions about becoming a United States citizen, as long as they commit no crimes, blah blah blah, and bang, wow. Because imagine if you gave all of these illegal aliens jobs and taxed them.
it's likely going to be a detention center with, like you said, fenced areas, a cage, or a freezing box, as Pinta Nina Santa Maria Cortez calls it. But if we hear,
which is all a violation of your human rights, depending on how long it is. For the cage one, everything else is human rights violation, like the freezing box.
If we actually secured the border,
that's torture.
That would be compassionate. We could avoid families being stranded in these facilities in the.
You're right. They could just be stranded in Mexico instead, completely fucked by the cartels, and poverty, and starvation. Yeah, good job, idiot.
First place, it would be the most compassionate thing to do. So if we build the wall,
the most compassionate thing to do would be reform your fucking your immigration policies. Get rid of the fucking wall, and let more people in. You can maybe let more people in and just input, help their economy.
Everyone enters the country in a single file, orderly fashion. Oh, that sounds. If you don't,
except for it's not a single file, orderly fashion. It's more like, hey, I have to get into the country first, live there for a little bit, then wait 6 months for my application to go through. Then it gets approved. If it sometimes while you're waiting for the approval, your visa runs out, so then you have to go back to your original country, so that the immigration stuff can go through, and then it might come through again because your visa, like you wait long enough, so you have another visa stay, so you stay there for another 6 months while you're waiting years and years for your fucking immigration thing to come in. See the problem? Okay.
You'll have a lot of brown people sleeping under overpasses and plastic Nassau blankets. Okay, like that's the thing. They're not saying we're gonna. Do you think even the most racist county sheriff wants to put a bunch of Mexican migrants under an overpass?
Nobody.
Yeah.
He does.
Even if the most. Hey.
I mean, you have no idea what people want. But I can certainly guess that somebody would want to do that. Yeah. I mean, you pretty much want. You want to kick them out. You want to kick them out because as long as they're not under an overpass in the United States, it's fine. So if they're in an overpass, under an overpass in the middle of fucking nowhere in Mexico, fuck them.
Folk under the overpass, you go, no, I'm racist, but I don't want that PR disaster.
Yeah.
I don't want Don Lemon down here and put me on a split screen. You know what? I forgot what my point number 5 was. 4's enough. 4's enough. We'll call this number 5 because it's a nice round number.
Yeah.
So here's what's happened. We've pivoted, of course, from
nice
Russia to racism. And by the way, wait for this in the coming months as it relates to the election. We saw this. Remember when everyone who didn't vote for Obama was a racist, and with Hillary Clinton, everyone all of a sudden became a sexist. So,
I mean, I don't know what major person was saying that, but
expect to see
maybe
this
Hillary
with the
said
Democrat
that, but fuck
presidential
her.
candidates. If the nominee ends up being Warren, Gillibrand, the Democrats will start accusing you with charges of sexism. If it's Kamala Harris,
it'll be Bernie Sanders. And there's a small group of people who are saying that we don't need a white man to run it, but fuck them.
Then they'll accuse you of racism and sexism and homophobia. They're going to try to paint millions of Americans and law-abiding immigrants, by the way, as racist and extremists. That's what they want to do right now. All of these reasons listed to the left, to people like Nancy Pelosi, to people like Cortez, they think that all of this is an extremist point of view. And to you, I would ask...
No, it kind of is, because there's a bunch of like human rights codes that you are breaking by doing this shit. So yes, it is an extremist view. Yeah. No, it is. It is a pretty extremist view. And then once you get like down to it, it just seems like every time we ask you about stuff, it just seems like it boils down to, but the brown people, I don't want them in here, so just get them out of here. yeah, I want them to immigrate here legally and, in an orderly fashion. Well, I mean, right now the immigration system is very, very hard to, like, this is how the line of dialogue goes, right? He says, I want them to come here in an orderly fashion, legally and stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, Stephen, right now it seems that the immigration policy is pretty fucked up. It's pretty hard to get in here. People have to live here for, like, they take a visa to live here, then they can apply once they're living here because they have to have a house, like, legal residence here. And once they have legal residence, they can apply for their citizenship. That might take 6 months. Most visas, when do visas run out? I don't know. There's a lot of visas. I was going to Google it, but there's many visas in the United States. So your visa might run out within that 6-month period. And then if not, then it might run out within the years it takes for you to finally get applied. So that requires you to go back and forth between your home country and and the United States, which creates difficulty, right? Because, well, they don't want to be in Mexico. They probably have nowhere to be in Mexico. So I think, let's say one of the visa might be 6 months on, 6 months off. So you're 6 months in the United States, you're living, you're making money, you're making food, and then for whatever, you're forced to go back to Mexico for 6 months and somehow fucking survive there. And you left there in the first place for good reasons. So there's probably fuck all for you to do there in Mexico. So you might just starve to death within those 6 months. That's pretty fucked up. Okay? And then ignoring the fucking massive amount, like just the waiting time for you to get accepted. And even more,
what's some more extreme?
And Trump threatening to deny refugee status to the caravan. There's also that.
Extremist view.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna keep on going. So okay, so you say that, and like, hey, do you want to reform? And he'll say, no, I don't really want to reform it. I don't really want to open borders. I like my borders closed and stuff. It's like, okay, okay, that's up. But why do you want, like? So then why don't you want that on the Canadian border? Why is the Canadian border not a problem? Oh, okay, well, they have a good, nice, strong economy, whatnot. It's like, okay. Well, why don't we help the Mexicans build up their economy? Why don't we do that? No, I don't really want to, intervene on that either. We don't really have the money for that. I can't really afford that. It's like, okay. So you don't want to let them in here easily because, you want to keep the immigration policy the same. And you don't want to help their economy out. So they're in danger because their fucking living situation is garbage in the United States. So the only way to get here efficiently is to go across the border illegally. And if you're trying to stop that with a border wall, it just kind of comes off as fuck the brown people. Get them out of here. Get the Mexicans out of here. Fuck them. Right? That makes sense? Okay.
Then a nation without borders or laws.
Well, nations without borders. The entirety of the EU, very fucking stable, super uber duper stable, and none of them have borders with each other because they're in the EU. So, like, there's that point gone. And then with laws, every country has laws. Okay. Like, I'm going to go over that point one more time. I need to listen.
They think that all of this is an extremist point of view. And to you, I would ask,
and the United States has only one border. The Canadian border is, like, not strongly guarded. Like, there's no fucking wall fence area across the entirety of the Canadian border.
More extremist view than a nation without borders or laws. Hey there, here I am.
An extremist? Yeah. Oh, so he said anything more than an extremist view instead of a nation without borders or laws. Which makes no fucking sense, because that means, so now he's just characterized the entirety of the EU as not countries. None of those, Germany, not a country. France, not a country. Spain, not a country. Italy, not a country. UK, well, actually, the UK is becoming a country now. They're becoming a country. Brexit, they're becoming a country now. They're almost there. Ireland, not a country. Who else is in the EU? Fuck, Poland, I think, is in the EU. Switzerland. Yeah. All those countries, not fucking countries. Because they don't have borders, guys. But they have laws. I don't know what country doesn't have law. I don't know what progressive is advocating for no laws. They're advocating for immigration reform. It's fucking clear as day. Jeez fucking Christ. You're so fucking stupid. Makes me want to end everything. Let's just quickly check here because I have nobody in chat to talk to about this shit. So we're gonna check out if there's another video I need to watch, and if not, I'm gonna go. Oh, it's all boring. All right, I'm out of here. Take care. I love you all. Bye bye. Catch me on the YouTubes and suck my dick.